Hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Peaks Peak. If you're new to the channel, my name's Lucas, and I want to tell you a little bit about the content that we put out on our channel. We cover everything from homesteading, gardening, raising our cows, chickens, goats, and all of that, to building buildings and working on our shop. We got a nice little Kubota BX tractor that we use all over the homestead, so we like to share content about that. And then we have all kinds of vehicle projects and things like that that we like to share. So we cover a lot of things here, so we would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel and help support us. But today we are all about taking down our garden, and we're only going to do this first one, which is our corn that we've already harvested. So I've got my landscape fabric that I put out and our fencing that I need to take down, and I'm going to cut all the corn stalks out. My neighbors actually want some for decorations, and then we'll feed the rest of it to the cattle. So we're gonna get started and get to work on this. But first I thought I'd give you a little update on the animals and how they're all doing, because they're all growing good. How you doing, Fleetwood Big Mac? Big Mac is growing good, and there's Angus Young. He's coming right along. They're all nice and healthy, and it won't be long before they'll be eating hay. It's feeling like fall out here. If you remember all the little baby chicks that hatched through the spring and the summer, they're all running around and doing good. Well, I say all, not all. Some of them didn't make it. You know, that early stages of growth can kind of be dangerous for little chicks that free range. So they didn't all make it, but a lot of them did, and they're cute and they're healthy and doing great. So that's pretty cool. Remember Chippy? Chippy's the big silky there. We had another little silky baby there running under the coop. Oh, you want to go? You want to go? Huh? Yeah. I thought we was gonna fight right here on camera, Pox. What do you think about it, huh? Hello, Jenny. Hello, Guinea. Hey, Alfredo. What you doing? Huh? You fighting the limbs? Huh? All right, so I think we will start by taking the fence down, and then I'm going to try a couple of different ways to cut these stalks down, but I have a blade on my weed eater that I may try. See how that works out. Fence removal was the easy part. Now the hard part's going to be figuring out the best way to cut these corn stalks down. I've already figured out that pulling them up by the roots tears up my fabric. So we're gonna try a different method and see what we come up with. All right, so that wasn't too bad. If the corn hadn't been knocked over to where the stalks were growing kind of in a swoop, then that would have been the ticket for sure. But it was a little bit hard where half the corn stalks in the middle were all laying down. But I'm gonna go through here. Well, first I'm gonna take this fence and go store it away. And then I'm going to fill up my bucket with good straight corn stalks to give to the neighbor for their decorations. And then I'll start throwing the rest of it over the fence for the cows. Seems like the smart thing to do with this fence would be to put it somewhere than inside the cab of my truck project that I'm supposedly starting on. But that's where the rest of the fence is, so I guess if I'm gonna have to move it, I might as well figure out where I'm gonna put it all when I get ready to move the cab. So, in she goes. Oh look, I see a tailgate. I didn't even know I had a tailgate. All right, so we got most of the corn cleaned up. Now I got to pick up all my rocks and rebar that are holding down our landscape fabric. All right, so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of landscape fabric for weed barrier in a garden. Because honestly, I loved it through the whole summer season. But it cost me about 160 bucks to cover the ground with it. So I was hoping to get several years out of it, and that's not going to happen. Honestly, you know, I tried to cut these stalks off instead of pulling them up by the roots, because pulling them up by the roots ripped the fabric. But even with trying to take a little bit of extra care before taking this up, there's still going to be so many holes and rips in this fabric that I don't think we're going to get to reuse it. So that's disappointing. And I'll show you the other thing about this garden, that the way it turned out, just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of weeds we had growing. I was thrilled with it. Our corn did great, so there weren't enough weeds to choke it out, but our holes maybe were a little bit big, so we did end up with some weeds. All right, so I hoped that I could peel this up and we could get some more use out of it. But look at what it's doing. It's just like ripping out around the stalks that I left to try and save it. But I feel like you have to take it up, because you got to be able to till your ground next year, right? It's got to come up because we got to clean all this up. You got to till it and start fresh next year. I mean, I don't know, some of these people using heavier fabric, I don't know if they're leaving it down every year, but there's no way this would be any good for next year. Now, this stuff would die off and we'd be left with black fabric and holes, but there's so many holes that I think it would be useless. So I'm gonna peel it up. So me and Jana were talking about it as we tore up all this fabric. And we decided, since the kids aren't here to help, a good job for them would be to piece it all back together next year when we need it. So that's the plan. So after cleaning all this up, the amount of dirt that shows when we're all finished should give you a pretty good idea of how few weeds there really were in this garden. So overall, I am real happy with the weed fabric performance, except for the durability. So I think I'll choose a different product next time. but I really liked the amount of work it saved me in weeding the garden. So I was real happy with the Farbric overall. So I said when we started this whole process of trying out this weed Farbric that I'd share with you how it went, and I've tried to kind of share updates on the garden all throughout the year. We had one of the best gardens we've ever had this year, and that was mostly due to what's in God's control, and that's the weather. But I think the weed Farbric helped cut down on the amount of work we had to put into it to get the kind of harvest that we wanted out of our garden. So overall, I'm really happy with it. I'm just going to tweak a few things about the process to try to make it a little better next year. So if you're not a subscriber, be sure and subscribe. And when we start setting up for next year, you'll get to see what we try then. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I appreciate y'all watching. You all have a good day.